Bill O'Reilly right now from Fox News, also the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Killing Reagan. Welcome back, Bill. So we just heard Matthew Dowd say right there he didn't see anything necessarily that would take Donald Trump off the top right now. You agree?
Yeah, I don't think Trump really changed his status. You like him before the debate, you're going to like him after. You don't, same thing. I think Ted Cruz helped himself a little bit because he becomes the conservative alternative to Trump. So if you're not a policy person and you're conservative, you would go with Cruz.
But he and Rubio really went at it on national security. You think Cruz got the better of that exchange?
You know, I don't know. You got to understand that the folks are going on emotion this year, and that's what it's all about. And people should really understand that Trump has blown the system up. He's blown it up. And now it's all about emotion. So once you get into this micro policy business, I think most folks kind of even tune out.
You know, but the big question a lot of people are asking, does it stay about emotion as the votes actually come in
It does.
Iowa, New Hampshire?
It does until you get to the first voting, Iowa and New Hampshire. I think it will carry into that. Because that's what Trump is running on. That's his whole campaign, emotion. He feels your pain, and the country's angry.
Jeb Bush had his toughest attack yet on Donald Trump last night. Chaos candidate. Did he draw blood?
No, because you could just read it in Bush's face. How is this possibly happening? How can I, a candidate who knows and who has run a state for 8 years, be losing to a Donald Trump who speaks in generalities? But what Jeb Bush has never understood is this is a different time. Americans are furious on both sides, but primarily on the right. And if you don't feel that anger, if you don't feel it, you're going to lose.
So if he doesn't make a move in the next few weeks in the polls, you think he gets out before the votes?
Look, it's a matter of money. He has a lot of money. He can stay in. You got Super Tuesday. I don't think he's going to get out before that.
How about Ben Carson? He's been falling.
Yeah, Carson didn't help himself last night, and it all started on my show when we had this big foreign policy debate, and he didn't really know about the terrorism and the components thereof. Once that got out, he started to descend, and Cruz picked up most of his support.
Almost all of his votes,
yes.
in Iowa especially. So looking, taking a step back, you say there's a lot of emotion out there, a lot of anger against Washington out there. Can Donald Trump actually get the nomination?
Sure he could. Sure he could. Look, the folks are going to vote, and the votes count. Now, the Republican establishment don't want him, and they don't like him. But as I said, Trump is blowing up the system. That debate last night, nobody really won or lost. There's too many people on the stage. But how can you come up against a Trump who goes, hey, I got 42, you got 3, you're an idiot? And how can you debate that? How?
And I think his pledge again last night to stay as a Republican, not to run as an independent, got to be a sign of confidence that he thinks he can get the nomination.
Look, Trump doesn't want to alienate all Republicans, but I'll tell you what, the guy is formidable, and in this age of anger, you can't say, oh, he's not going to get it. He could very well get it.
If he starts to win votes, is there going to be a brokered convention?
I don't know anything about that. That's your job. Brokered convention. All I know is that people are going to vote on emotion this year. It's almost like Ronald Reagan, what he did with Jimmy Carter. It's almost exactly the same. Carter screwed things up so badly, and Americans were so angry in 1980 that they voted out of emotion. It's the same thing now. And, you know, history might repeat itself.
Bill O'Reilly, thanks for coming in
All
this
right,
morning.
George.
Next debate, Democrats will be there on Saturday night. Martha Raddatz and David Muir are going to moderate that, and you'll see it right here on ABC at 8 Eastern.